When I was young, they used to call me a monster. African, bushman, monkey, I was bothered. Used to pick on my clothes. I didn't have Nikes. I didn't have nice bikes, other fancy things. I didn't have much loot, no savings, no trust fund. So walking out my house every day was not fun. Had no heat in the winter, no AC in the hot sun. Next to my bed was rats, leftovers, they got some. Used to wonder why me while seeing on TV. Dudes with Beamers, Jaguars, of course Mercedes. Being broke as a kid used to drive me crazy. Hearing the guns at night, I couldn't sleep like a baby. But now I make it plain. I'm writing this on a plane on my way to California for a show. What changed? Well, I stopped making excuses for myself, took blame. You take control of your life, you can do the same. It don't matter, you've been abused, grew up with no parents, you dealt with booze, dealt with drugs, wheelchair ramped it. Maybe you grew up poor in a house, not a home. Maybe mom was an addict, papa Rolling Stone. What you gotta see is life is just testing you out to see if you'll take your life, take the easy route, to see if you'll throw the towel and surrender your soul to a life of crime, a life of loss, life out of control. But if you take a step back, think twice, get some goals. If you focus on your dreams and not your nightmares, yo, you'll see your life get better with your new mindset. Get new experiences that you won't regret. I took control of my life, now I travel the globe. I met Clinton, Obama, Maya Angelou. I might be the next man on the cover of O. You take control of your destiny, you never know. I've been on BET, BBC, CNN. I've been to 20 countries, spoke before millions. Now they don't call me a monster unless I'm beasting the flow. They don't call me nothing but the goat at a show. So what can you do if you focus on great? More than me, probably, if you concentrate. Get the haters out your life and stop lifting that weight. And listen to no one who ever said wait. You take control of your dreams and develop yourself. If you eat the right foods and develop your health, you live the life of your dreams. Trust me, you'll see, because you got nothing but greatness in your destiny. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Let's try it like you mean it. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Please repeat after me. Today I give myself permission. To no longer be a volunteer victim. I will live life by my own rules. And no longer listen to liars, haters, and fools. I will take control of my own destiny. And let no one get the best of me. For if it is meant to be, it is up to me. Give yourselves a round of applause. My number one goal today was to turn all of y'all into rappers. So now y'all can all go home and say you got skills. That's why I wanted y'all to do that. You can speed it up a little bit, add a little beat to it, throw it up on YouTube, and y'all be up there with Kendrick Lamar and all them other cats. So congratulations. As it was said in the introduction, my name is Omékongo Dibinga. But that's not my full name. There's a little bit more of that behind my story. So can I play a game with y'all? Yeah. Are y'all cool to play games? Because if y'all are too old for games, I'm too old for games. So how many want to play a game with me real quick? Cool, let's sweeten the pot. Winner of this game gets $100. Does that work? Raise your hand, who wants $100? I'm gonna make you 100 there. I can't make you a millionaire, but I'll make you 100 there. Get you like a bag of chips, right? Maybe a little gas, half a tank of gas to get home or something. This is very simple. I'm going to tell you all my name as it says in the program, plus a little bit extra. Whoever can raise their hand and tell me my name back to me will win $100. So if I said my name was LeBron James, you say my name is? LeBron James. Win $100. If I said my name was Paul Pierce, you say my name is? Win $100. That's pretty easy, right? Okay, so here we go. I'm going to give y'all ready for this? Who's ready to win $100? Ready? Anybody? So here we go. My name is Omékongo Dibinga Washington Casa. I didn't add the what. I heard the what. That wasn't part of what I said though. But I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Should I say it again? Yeah. I no recording playback though. I'm watching. I know y'all all teched up and everything. No recording on the strawberries and blueberries and blackberries. They don't even have a blackberry anymore. Here we go. Omékongo Dibinga Washington Casa. She actually has a camera. This is interesting. Anybody? Any takers? Any takers? Going once. Slow it down? I can't slow it down. If I slow it down, I lose my money. I slow it down. Omékongo Dibinga Washington Casa. That was slow. That was slow. Yes. Is there a hand up? Going once, going twice. It's all right. Maybe you can give yourselves a shot afterwards, see me in the back, and we'll talk about it. I'll get you a loot. Maybe someone just a little bit shy to say it in front of everybody. I understand that. Why did I start off with that? I wanted to start off with that because, quite honestly, I speak a lot across the globe on these issues of diversity, on these issues of leadership, and I make it a point to use my name as a point of departure to get these conversations started about what it means to respect diverse cultures, about what it means to be an effective leader. And the reason why I start off with my name is because growing up, I couldn't always say my name. I mean, I could speak it, but it was often a case for fighting words. It was a source of a lot of bullying. If you can't tell from my name, I was born in a faraway place called Boston, Massachusetts. I was really born there. There's a lot of people named Omékongo. Well, no, never mind. But yes, I was born in Boston, Massachusetts, but my parents came from Congo. Now, since you didn't win that game, we're going to play another game with you all. I'm going to tell you all a true story about my life growing up in Boston, Massachusetts. Can we play another game? So here's the deal. Any of y'all watch reality shows? Don't tell me which ones, because if y'all say like Real Housewives of Atlanta, I'm going to leave here. So do any of y'all watch any reality shows? Just raise your hands. I don't want to. Okay, good. So here's the deal. See, the reason I can't stand reality shows is because I tried to get on one and they rejected me. And so I was mad. I was like, my life's real? So what I did was I went home and I wrote this poem, which is a true story called My Life is a Reality Show. So I'm going to tell you all a true story about growing up in Boston, Massachusetts. Here's the game. Anytime you hear the name of a television show in this piece, just make a little tally mark in your head or on a sheet of paper, and whoever has the exact number of television shows at the end will win a copy of anything I got out there. Now, the buttons are free that are out there, but I also have books and CDs and DVDs and all of that stuff. So I'm gonna throw some game shows at y'all, some talk shows, a little bit of everything. Maybe a couple of videos here and there, some new shows. Don't write the names down of the shows, just make a little mark. Does that make sense? Does that work? And if you don't want to participate, it's just a true story. You get to learn a little bit more about the person who's up here sharing his story with you all. Can I begin? And I'll go a lot slower than when I said my name. Gotcha, I'm looking out for you. Here we go. True story. My life is a reality show. And so I'm suing the creators of Survivor. I'll help you with the hard ones. And so I'm suing the creators of Survivor for copyright infringement. You see, I grew up on the streets of Roxbury, where too many brothers were getting buried under rocks for wearing the wrong shoes and socks in this hard knocks life, where you could get jacked for a wrong stare or for not knowing what not to wear. And too many of my other brothers watched their big brothers get locked, trying to become Joe Millionaire on the block, with no chance of jailbreak, all for the love of money. You see, life was like a real-life boot camp living in Boston 24/7. So believe me when I tell you that Beantown was more than what you would see coming out of Harvard and MIT. You see, I'm talking about my real world, where your brethren could get sent to heaven if they didn't know the road rules. Like if you saw a crime go down, say you don't know Jack. And if you were the weakest link in the crew, you might get your wig pushed back because it was too easy for you to get punked. And that's why this proud African rolled on the solo and didn't mind being an ordinary Joe Schmo, as long as it meant that I can sleep with both eyes closed. But I guess I must have been spoiled growing up with both parents, while too many of my peers, they grew up without an African-American idol. So they got caught up in gangs, trying to live that fraternity life and sorority life. And they were too busy being condemned by mainstream America, who couldn't realize that these role model-seeking soldiers were just doing anything for love. Because a prepubescent poor prince didn't care if he was an apprentice to a drug dealer, so long as he can get high off that pseudo-paternal persona in his simple life. Because it's like ever since the swap was made on African shores, black folks ain't never been right. And when it came to the women, it was a real-life battle of the sexes. You see, we treated each other like rivals in this game of survival. And so many young, yearning women felt destined to live the single life, because the bad boy bachelors had no respect for their beautiful bachelorettes unless they had a banging body. But some women did get caught up with brothers with cash, cribs, and a car. And so in their vain attempt to create love stories, these dream chasers would race to the altar, only to find themselves being a guest on Cheaters and end up saying, I want a divorce. And the husbands were like, well, let's make a deal on the kids. It's like in my hood, there were 3 fear factors: fear of crazy people, fear of commitment, and fear of the police. So no one in my hood watched cops, because if we wanted to get a sneak peek at the lives of the police, all we had to do was walk outside and catch a live clip, because they love to shoot on location, because they knew no boundaries. And so murder in small town X was really murder in Boston, Massachusetts, or anywhere in America. But if you didn't get shot, check it. All you had to do was wait for clowns like Charles Stewart to turn you into a suspect in a true crime story. And if you were lucky, you would just get stripped down naked in broad daylight, which was the worst case scenario after getting killed or losing someone you held dear to your life. Like when my man's 13-year-old cousin Tiffany Moore got her brains blown off sitting on a mailbox one night. It was a scary life where you often felt that you didn't have enough adrenaline to run this amazing race. Because walking around, I always felt that it was the people versus my hood. Because I grew up in a pseudo dog-eat-dog community, which was in need of an extreme makeover, which never happened. Because our governors, they were just politicians performing as people who cared about our community. And even now you see they're trying to bring back the chair in the chamber for the most malignant offenders, because there's no justice for the poor in this system of crime and punishment. But if you were a good runner, or scouts knew who's got game, then you might have been able to leave your hood and live that American high, surreal life where you were so lost in the USA that you forgot that you went from Danger Island to Fantasy Island until Temptation Island brought you right back down to earth, and you ended up working in the gas station or the restaurant right back on Danger Island. So take these profiles from the front lines, and don't be surprised when you hear me talking about how I find myself running from reality. Because like I said, I must have been spoiled growing up in a household where there was no faking it. Living with 9 kids under one roof, often with too many house guests crashing of us in our love shack, where everything I owned was public property. But my mother, she made us feel like we were all celebrities. And my father, well, let's just say that my father would give anyone 30 seconds of fame if they wanted to act funny and be the last comic standing. Man, I wish you all could meet my folks and visit my hood, because I was able to find love for my hood and find love in my hood and become a newlywed. So looking at my life story, I had to put the pen to paper. So whenever y'all hear me recount these capers, ain't no need to turn on your TV. Whenever you want to get a glimpse of reality, just turn off your television and watch me or any kid growing up in the hood in this new century, because our lives are reality shows. And so we're all filing a lower class action lawsuit to sue the creators of Survivor for copyright infringement. Thank you. All right, let's count them up. I saw some people writing, some people picking it down in their head. Let's see what we have. Yes. 43. 43. Yes. 31. Over there in the corner. 42. 60. Just watch a lot of TV. Yes. 40. You too. 35. 32. 25. 3 more people. 45. What? 45. Right here. 17. Right there with the yellow. 30. Correct answer was 72. Correct answer was 72. This is great because we both win. See, I get to keep my stuff. And then it just means y'all don't watch a lot of TV, or y'all might watch the same stuff every day. I don't know. That's between y'all, right? But I like to have fun with my story, because living my story when I was growing up, it wasn't that fun. You see, growing up in my community, I had 3 strikes growing up against me. And I talk about a lot of those in my poem, Reality Show. The first strike that I had growing up against me was that I didn't grow up with a lot. So I don't know what your experiences are like, but it's my hope that you don't know what it's like to grow up sleeping next to rats, because I know what that's like. It's my hope that you don't have to grow up knowing what it's like to have to cover your stoves with blankets in the coldest of winters, because I know what that's like. To have to live in a household that represented many of the stereotypes that we see of poor communities across the globe, where we often didn't have electricity and running water in Boston, Massachusetts. My hope is that that has never been an experience for you. But that was my first strike growing up against me. I didn't feel like I was worth much because I didn't have much. And everywhere I looked, I was surrounded by poverty. That was the first strike I had going against me. The second strike was my name. We had a lot of fun with my name in the beginning, but growing up, saying my name could mean a punch in the face, a slap in the face, because growing up in Boston during my time, people hated people of African descent. Now, maybe you may not be of African descent, but you may be of other type of persuasion or another type of orientation or religion or background, and so you know what it's like to be hated just by being yourself. You don't hear a stereotypical accent that comes from Africa coming from my voice, but people simply hated me when they heard my name. So my older brothers and sisters, my younger brothers, we were beaten up, had rocks thrown at us, bats swung at us. My oldest brother was even shot in the eye, simply because people hated what they did not understand. So I didn't feel value sometimes in my house because of what I did not have, and then I didn't feel value walking outside of my house simply because of my name. Third strike that I had going against me, I grew up at the height of what people called affectionately the crack epidemic, where across the country inner city neighborhoods were being ravaged by this new drug called crack cocaine, to such an extent that young Black and Latino males were walking around in my neighborhood with t-shirts that said, "Young Black men, endangered species. Young Latino men, endangered species," because it was predicted that we would not live past the age of 25, that we would either be killed or incarcerated for the rest of our lives. So when you look at those three strikes coming against me, you could probably understand why I didn't feel value, where I felt like I didn't really belong here, where thoughts of suicide entered my head on a regular basis, until I heard someone at a convention similar to this say that suicide is nothing but a permanent solution to a temporary problem. And high school students, I know that you all have colleagues who may have had these types of thoughts, and share that with them, because life does get better. Things do improve. Because at the end of the day, with all of the challenges that I was dealing with and feeling valueless, I realized I had a choice. Everyone repeat after me, I have a choice. Say it like you mean it, I have a choice. See, whatever you are dealing with in your life, on your path to becoming the type of leaders that you are today, you all made a choice as well. Marlo Thomas said we have a choice in life, and we can either become bitter or we could become better. And so I decided that I didn't want to be bitter anymore. I wanted to become better. And that led me towards my path of leadership. And so rather than picking up the guns and shooting back and the knives and stabbing back, I decided to pick up the pen and paper and write back and write my frustrations down. And I started sharing my work with my community with the hope that maybe people, if they understood that we all laughed in the same language, that we all cry in the same language, that maybe the bullying would stop and people would start asking me questions, wanting to know where I came from. And that did start to happen. But another thing happened. The more and more I spoke, the more and more I performed, the more other people started realizing as well that it was okay to speak about their experiences. Maybe being bullied because they were gay. Maybe what it felt like to be disrespected because they grew up poor, or they came from a community where they were in the minority because of their religious background, or even because of their gender. And so what I realized that my voice could inspire others to share their voice and share their story as well. So I just shared and shared and shared, and this kid changed his life around simply by deciding to embrace my story and use that as a point of departure for my role and my life as a leader. When I became president of student council when I was in high school, that came from speaking and using my experiences as a way to reach out to other people. So this kid who was told he was never going to go anywhere, I've been to 20 countries sharing my work. People told me that they would never read my stories. I've published 6 books. I've produced 7 CDs. They said people will never see you on television. I've been on television in over 150 countries. I'm not saying these things to impress you. I'm saying these things to impress upon you that when you take this thing called leadership seriously, your life will begin to change. You see, leadership is not about an election. It's not about a position. It's not about saying, well, I'm the one who got the most votes in my school. Leadership, if you want to consider yourself a real leader is somebody who uses their story as a point of departure to understand and reach out to other communities, to other people. So many people get caught up in just being a leader in name because it looks good, because it looks good on their college resume, because they get to build their Facebook page and have a couple of followers. But if you're not really interested in building leadership from the ground up, then I have to challenge you. I have to question you. I have to ask you, why are you really interested in this position that can be so influential in the lives of many? And so what I want to do is I want to share with you all a couple of very simple techniques of what you need to do on a daily basis to really ask yourself if you are really fit to be a leader in your school, in your community, in your state, on this planet. The first thing you have to ask yourself, if you want to really consider yourself a leader, is you have to look at your quality and quantity of giving. Everybody say give. Give. Say it like you mean it. Give. Give. You see, so many leaders that I experience get caught up in only worrying about what they're receiving. If you look at the state of affairs and politics in Washington, D.C. right now, a lot of leaders have lost their way to such an extent that they can't even speak to each other because they got so caught up in this entitlement, feeling like they're owed something. We live in this gimme, 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 gimme culture, but a real leader is focused on giving. In our community, when we are being beaten up and bullied and shot at, my family had to make a decision. Are we going to start killing and stabbing and shooting too? Or are we going to make a difference? So we decided to give back. My sister started a dance school with 6 kids in her basement. And now she has over 400 kids. And she teaches some of the kids who bullied us when we were children. We gave back to the community. We didn't focus on what we didn't have, what we were deprived of. We focused on what we can give where we were. Wayne Dyer said, the more and more you give to your community, the more and more it's going to give to you. Conversely, the more and more you take from your community, the more and more it's going to take from you. So ask yourself, are you really just a leader in name? Are you really focused on giving back? Are you maybe a senior who's got the position and kind of already checked out because the applications are about to be in? Are you really interested in leading a legacy for your school? That's the first step you have to consider. After you start really looking at your quality and quantity of giving, the next step as leaders is you have to learn to release. Everybody say release. Release. Like you mean it, release. Release. You have to learn as a leader to let it go and let them go. I'm reminded of the words of a wise philosopher by the name of Elsa from Frozen. I thought she was deep. I love that movie. Now, fellas, I'm keeping it real. I first saw it with my daughters and bought the songs and all of that for them. But on occasion, like this morning, I may find myself listening to a couple of songs from that soundtrack. It was a great movie. Am I wrong? My favorite song from that movie is, I love the snowman, Olaf. And he had a song called In Summer. It's just optimism about a snowman looking forward to summer. Like, who really looks forward to summer as a snowman? I thought that was really cool. I love optimism. But, you know, she has this song and she talks about letting it go. And that's real. You can't be an effective leader if you don't learn to let go. I was watching an interview with Nelson Mandela just yesterday. And he talked about the importance of forgiveness. Some people say, I can't wait till I become a leader because I'm going to stick it to whoever. I'm going to stick it to this group. I'm going to destroy this particular community. No, you have to learn to let it go. An effective leader is somebody who knows how to forgive. Remembering that the word forgiving is made up of 2 words, for and giving. It means for giving yourself permission to move forward. An effective leader learns how to let things go. If I wanted to be engaged in my community, I had to forget all of the people who did me wrong and move forward. Any of y'all ever been in a car? Notice how your car has a bigger windshield and a smaller rear view mirror? It's so you can spend more time looking forward and less time looking backwards. If a leader's like this time, you cannot be effective. So you have to learn to let it go. After you learn to let it go, you have to learn to let them go. How many of y'all got some haters in your life? Someone you know just can't stand you. Raise your hand. Y'all got some haters. Actually, I'm trilingual, right? As it said in the bio, English, French, and Swahili. I'm here to tell y'all that the word hater, it comes from the French, hater. And it means having people around you who just can't stand you. Now, it really doesn't come from hate. That's not a French word, just in case y'all were wondering. But seriously, raise your hands and answer this question. How many of y'all people who've hated on you before? Now, how many of y'all people hated on you, but you have kept them in your circle of friends anyway? See, some people, I see some hands going up, shyly they're going up. Some people have this ridiculous mindset of keep your friends close and your enemies what? That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Why would you want to keep people close to you when you always have to watch your back, seeing if they're ready to stab you in it? It doesn't make any sense. You have to let people go who don't represent your values. Why are you going to spend your time with a racist if your time in your school is focused on building a multiracial collective? Why are you going to spend your time with somebody you've been hanging with since middle school who's a homophobe if your goal is to bring people out of the shadows who are afraid to come out about their orientation? Another wise man by the name of Jay-Z once said, a wise man told me, don't argue with fools, because people from a distance can't tell who is who. You see, Will Smith said that you are a direct reflection of your 5 closest friends. So now, high school level, leadership level, you have to really ask yourself, do my 5 closest friends represent the values that I embody right now? Have they been your best friend for 10 years, or were they your best friend 10 years ago? And I'm going to tell you, in this social media world, you will be brought down by the company that you keep. You may not be a racist or a sexist or an anti-Semite or anti-Islamic, but if you have that community around, folks are pulling up the social media pages of your friends, and you will have to answer for questions that you don't even believe in. So you have to learn as leaders to get people away from you who don't represent what you believe in, because look, your silence is compliance. If you're just sitting at a table and people are throwing out a bunch of sexist jokes or a bunch of racist jokes or a bunch of anti-Semitic jokes and you're silent, you might as well be telling the jokes yourself, because you are part of that. I had to learn to let people go away from me who didn't represent what I grew up wanting to do with my life. After you're able to do that, check who your friends are. Dennis Kimbrough said, if you're the smartest person in your group, find a new group. Don't get caught up in the fact that you're the best speaker, you have the nicest clothes, you have the nicest grades. Surround yourself with people who are going to help you up your game. Once you do that, you're giving, you're releasing. The next step is overcoming. Everybody say overcome. Overcome. There's that energy. You have to learn as leaders to overcome your fears. Zig Ziglar said that fear is nothing but false evidence appearing real. F-E-A-R. And that most of the things we worry about never happen. If you think of all of the progress that we made in this country, we have a long way to go as it relates to equal rights, as it relates to women's rights, as it relates to rights for all types of groups. But we are here now because many people were fearless. Don't be scared about taking a position that's different from everybody else. Dexter Yeager once said, if your dream is big enough, the problems don't matter. The fears don't matter. So as leaders, you have to make yourself comfortable in taking unpopular positions. In the world that I live in the world that I work in, the people who I'm speaking to, I get to hang out with great leaders like you, but sometimes I'm in an audience of people who've been trafficked sexually. I'm in front of people who've been child soldiers. I'm in front of people who have been criminals at the highest level, speaking in prisons. And when I'm speaking in front of these different groups, I tell them that I'm going to be out there speaking for you, advocating for you. As a leader, are you using your skills? Are you using your voice to be a voice for the voiceless? Again, if not, I have to question you. And are you not being a voice for the voiceless out of fear? You have to work on conquering that fear. I used to have a fear of flying, to be quite honest. I used to watch a TV show with my mom called The Golden Girls, right? And maybe some of y'all still watch the show. I still watch it, to be honest. And there was this character named Dorothy, played by B. Arthur, who passed. And she was so scared of flying that when people would look at her when she was talking to them, she said, don't look at me when you talk, it's gonna shake the plane. Like, that's how scared she was about getting on a plane. But I wanted to speak to the world. And so to speak to the world, I had to realize that I had to make my dreams bigger than my fears. And that's how I've been able to get to 20 countries and meet such amazing people like you all. Get over your fears. And then that leads you to win. Everybody say win. Win. Like you mean it, win. Win. You have to have a winning mentality as a leader. Too many of us get in this position, but we don't really get caught up in what it means to be a leader, because again, some of us just are doing it in name. But when you get into your position, you have to believe that the stance that you're going to take in your school, the stance that you're going to take in your community, you have to believe that you can win. Otherwise, you're wasting time and you're wasting valuable resources. And again, you can't get caught up in the fact that everybody's not going to stand with you. You have to stand because it's the right thing to do. It's the necessary thing to do. Let me give you an example. How many of you have a cell phone? Raise your hand. Computer, laptop, something, anything that has an on switch. Everybody's hands going up. Now put your hands down. Now raise your hand if you knew that that electronics product that you had was directly connected to the deaths of over 6 million people in the Congo. Now that leads to a different subject about what it is our education is really showing us. But see, that's another world that I live in. See, some years ago I found out that my iPhone, my laptop, my PlayStation had resources in it that come from Eastern Congo. They're called tin, tantalum, and tungsten. We call them the 3 T's plus copper. And then I realized, I learned that in order to get these resources, there's over 26 different rebel groups operating in Eastern Congo. And what they're doing has led Oprah to call Congo the worst place to be a woman. Girls as young as 3 years old to women as old as 75 years old being violated in ways that I can't even share with you on this stage. Men and young boys being shot and dumped over rivers on their way down to their death so that these materials can be extracted so we can get those electronics at a ridiculously low price on Black Friday. That had me thinking, I don't believe people should die so we can have a cell phone. I don't believe that people should die so that and be violated so that we can have the greatest electronics equipment and line up for these iPhones. And so I joined the movement. But when I joined the movement, a lot of people weren't interested. But if I wanted to really call myself a leader, I had to go forward anyway. You have to go forward anyway. So the more I started speaking up, the more I started finding little pockets of people here and there who were also speaking up, and we didn't know each other. I started going to middle schools, even elementary schools and high schools, and finding other kids who wanted to get involved and start their little campaigns and then make bigger campaigns. And now, in 2014, this movement that started maybe 4 or 5 years ago because a couple of people decided to speak up and become leaders on this issue, there are 150 there's 150 schools across the country, middle school up to college, that have pledged to make their campuses go what we call conflict-free, which means they're not going to receive materials that come from war in their electronics products. The president, in his legislation that he passed last year, calls for companies now to document where they're getting their materials from, because we stepped up to lead. Some cities and municipalities, their leadership have pledged to go conflict-free. Then we get phone calls from people like Aaron Rodgers, NFL great player, Green Bay Packers, who decides he wants to join our campaign. Emmanuel Shariki from Entourage, HBO. We shot a video. Go check it out on YouTube. It's called Congo on the Come Up, where Aaron Rodgers, myself, Emmanuel Shariki, out there raising awareness about this. Actresses like Robin Wright from House of Cards, Don Cheadle, George Clooney, because we didn't care that we were in the minority about this issue. We knew that the most important thing for us was to speak up, to lead by example. Last week I shot a commercial with Intel, who puts processors, the largest computer processor in the world. And they have decided that by 2016, all of their computers are going to be conflict-free because we spoke up. Now that's an international issue, but locally you have challenges. In your schools, you have challenges. So what are you going to do to step up? If you focus on your giving, if you focus on your releasing, if you focus on your overcoming, if you focus on your winning, that's going to help you grow. That G-R-O-W, that spells out grow. Everybody say grow. See, life is about growing towards your greatness, growing into this position called leadership, growing to realize that leadership is a calling, that leadership is something that you need to be passionate about in order to take yourselves and your community to the next level. Now, since you all are high school, and some of you all are seniors and juniors as well, there are certain other things I want to share with you all as you all start going on and getting ready for this next step of your life. And this applies to all of you all, freshmen to senior, but particularly those of you all who are on your way to that next level, whether it's college or elsewhere. if you really want to consider yourself a leader, you also have to make sure that you are seeking to understand before seeking to be understood. One of the problems that I see often with leaders is that we are so caught up in our own causes that we think that other people's causes do not matter. And if you really want to build a coalition, you can't do that. So if your goal is to save the whales, you have to believe that your cause about saving the whales is just as important as your friend who wants to help end homelessness, as that person who wants to end racism. You have to learn to expand your thinking to be able to build a larger community. Once I went into school, I didn't do that at first. I had trouble attracting people to what I wanted to do. And so I had to sit down deeply and really understand what other people were going through, and then they started to understand what I wanted to do. But too many times as leaders, we get caught up in saying what I think matters, and that's all that's going to matter. So really ask yourself, are you doing that? One of the ways to do that is diversify your friends. Are you sitting with the same people every day who think the same way? As leaders, get out there and go and challenge yourself by speaking with other people of different backgrounds. Another thing that you must do as leaders is you have to find mentors. You all have great advisors in your schools. Use them so you're not reinventing the wheel all of the time. The next thing you have to remember is that Oprah Winfrey once said, "I'm running a one-person race." As leaders, we get so caught up in what the next person is doing that we forget that nobody experienced what we experience. So nobody can lead like we can lead. Nobody's going to get out there and do it just the way that you can do it. So if you get caught up in everybody else, their grades, their who's valedictorian, who got into this college, who got into that, then you can't focus on being a real leader. That's not how it works. Leadership is about developing greatness. And one thing that you have to understand at the end of the day, that if you're not passionate about being a leader, if you're not passionate about making a change, about making a difference in the lives of other people, then maybe leadership is not the position for you. Give it to somebody else. Give somebody else an opportunity to step up, to show what they're made of. Zig Ziglar said that a career is what you're paid for, but your calling is what you're made for. My hope is that you are here because you feel like you've been called to be a leader. My hope is that you're here because you feel like you can't rest until you're actually making effective change in your community. If you're not doing that, ladies and gentlemen, then you're really never going to be able to take yourselves to a higher level. We need you now more than ever to step up to the plate, to take a swing at racism, other types of hate, to take a stand against bullying, stop out genocide. Do your best to help others hold their heads with pride. Real leaders realize you can't do it all by yourself. You got to build yourself a team, build collective wealth. If you cannot do that, ladies and gentlemen, then it's very simple. Leadership is not in you, but you're here, you're energetic, you're passionate. I've been watching you all morning with the games that you've been playing, with the conversations that you've been having, and my hope is that you're going to leave this event and build a community strong enough that when you go back to your schools, you're going to be able to show them that you're focused on being a positive leader, that you're focused on making change, that you're really focused on making a difference and not just building a resume, but bringing out the greatness that we know was inside you. And once you do that, it'll become contagious. So I say to you, go out there fearless. Go out there with energy. Go out there with passion. Don't take this thing for granted. Repeat after me. I know if I believe, I can and will achieve. The past is the past, and I will no longer regret it. I will focus on this gift, which I call the present. I will get out of my own way and live my best life starting today. If I focus on my dreams and not my sorrows, my trials today will be my testimony tomorrow. You see, what you all have to see is that at the end of the day, everything that you've experienced has been building you for what you're doing today. Be ashamed of nothing relating to your past. Embrace it. I have no fear, no shame in talking about anything that I experienced, because that is why I am here today. Use that to build your coalition. Don't run from your story, embrace it. And once you do that, you'll be able to truly grow towards your greatness. I want to end with this poem, which is entitled Grow Towards Your Greatness, which I hope that you will use every single day to remind yourself of the importance of giving, of releasing, of overcoming, and developing a winning mentality. If you're able to do that, you'll be able to turn your trials into your testimony, your obstacles into your opportunities, and all of the problems that you have into something great and productive. They say that greatness is a choice, but what have you chosen? You've been frozen in time and broken in mind. For too long, the same song playing in your head, living in breath, but better off dead. But who said that you didn't have the power? Who said this is not your hour? You've been showered with a steady stream of words that kill your dreams. But since you're still breathing, then someone has lied to you, tried to deny you of your own potential inside you. If you just decide to, let no one deride you. Don't even let them get beside you as you unearth the new you. Stop listening to naysayers and decide to do you. No more pity party, sob stories, and boo-hoos. If no one told you that you're great, then let me be the first to. If you develop the thirst to drink from Faith's fountain, you'll develop the might to move mountains. You see, we remove tons of dirt to find 1 ounce of gold. So I ask you to remove tons of hurt and just uncover 1 ounce of your soul. You'll set yourself on a true path of excellence, getting out of your passenger seat and driving your own car, reaching for the moon, but maybe only landing among the stars. You see, you have greatness inside you, but you must choose to be great. Blaze a path of excellence, leaving fear in your wake. All you need is already inside you. You just must believe in yourself. Grow towards your greatness and discover your true wealth. My name is Omékongo Dibinga Wanga Kakese Wachitunkasa. Like you, I believe I am 1 in a million, committed to leadership. I want to get out there and join the struggle with you, join the fight with you. I wish you the best of luck at the rest of this conference. Thank you.